Have you ever seen a place that just looks like it's from another planet? You know, a landscape so wild and so beautiful, it makes you question what's even possible? Well, today, we're going to one of those places. Let's dive in. So, welcome to Meteora, right in the heart of Greece. What you're looking at are these absolutely colossal pillars of rock just shooting hundreds of meters into the sky. And if you look closely, perched right on top, like they have no business being there, are these ancient monasteries. The first thing that hits you is just how? How is that even real? You know, the name itself is a huge clue. Meteora. In Greek, it literally means suspended in the air. And I mean, looking at this, could there be a more perfect name? It's one of those rare places that completely lives up to its title. So this all boils down to two giant questions that we're going to unpack. First, the geology. How on earth did nature create a landscape that looks this impossible? And second, the human story. What would drive people to build these incredible sanctuaries in a place that basically defies construction? Okay, let's tackle that first question. We're going to have to wind the clock back, and I mean way, way back. We're talking 60 million years into the past to figure out how these pillars even came to be. Now, what's really fascinating here is that we have to throw out our first guess. These aren't volcanic plugs, which is what you might think. Nope. They're actually made of sandstone and something called conglomerate, which is basically just a natural concrete of stone, sand, and mud all packed together. So, how do you get from a bunch of mud and sand to this? Well, think of it like a three-act play over millions of years. Act 1, ancient rivers dump all kinds of sediment into a delta. Act 2, massive geological forces just shove that whole seabed skyward, creating a massive plateau. And for the finale, Act 3, wind and water go to work for thousands and thousands of years, chipping away at all the softer bits and leaving behind these spectacular pillars we see today. And this is what's so wild. This whole thing is a totally unique phenomenon. I mean, sure, erosion happens everywhere, but this specific combination of rock and weather, all happening in this one small area, it makes Meteora a true one-of-a-kind on planet Earth. All right, so nature set this incredible stage. Now it's time to bring in the people. We're shifting from the story of rocks to the absolutely amazing story of the humans who looked at this impossible landscape and didn't see a barrier. They saw a sanctuary. This timeline really lays it all out. It didn't start with these huge buildings. Back in the 9th century, it was just individual hermit monks finding little caves to live in for solitude. The real building boom, though, kicks off in the 14th century. The world outside was getting chaotic, and these peaks offered safety. By the 16th century, this place was at its peak, 24 active monasteries. And get this, it wasn't until the 1920s that they finally carved the stone steps we use today. And that right there is the key. The very thing that makes Meteora look so intimidating, how hard it is to get to, is exactly what made it the perfect safe haven. As the Ottoman Empire was expanding and things got unstable, these rock pillars became the ultimate fortress, provided by nature itself. It was a place where life and prayer could just carry on, totally separate from the conflicts down below. Okay, but building here, living here, that took something more than just clever engineering. Forget cranes and modern tools. For centuries, just surviving in Meteora meant you needed serious guts, some clever tricks, and an unbelievable amount of pure faith. This quote, wow, it tells you everything you need to know about the mindset. The main way up was in a net, holds by a rope. And when someone asked the monks how often they changed the ropes, their answer was just staggering. They said they only replaced them when the Lord let them break. Can you even imagine that? It was a literal leap of faith every single day. And you can see the stark difference right here. On the left, that's the old school system, a winch and a hoist tower that would pull up that net. And on the right, the stairs that were carved into the rock in the 1920s. It's the perfect contrast between the terrifying past and the, well, much safer present for tourists and the monks who still live there. Seriously, before those stairs existed, you had two choices. Climb these insanely long rickety wooden ladders they could pull up, or get hauled up in that net. Every sack of grain, every chunk of stone to build with, every single person came up that way. They were living life, quite literally, on the edge. Now, from that peak of 24 monasteries, the community has gotten smaller, for sure. But its legacy, it's more powerful than ever. Let's take a look at the monasteries that are still here today and why the whole world considers them a treasure. Today, out of that original couple dozen, just 6 monasteries remain. Some are still active religious communities. Others are more like museums. But every single one of them holds on to this incredible history. This map gives you a great bird's-eye view of the layout. You can see the 6 survivors scattered across the pillars. You've got the Great Meteoron, Varlam, Rusino, St. Nicholas, Holy Trinity, and St. Stephen. Each one is unique. St. Stephen's, for instance, is the easiest to get to. It has a bridge, and it's a convent now. Let's zoom in on a few of the most famous ones. This one is the big one, the Great Meteoron. It's the oldest, the biggest, and it sits on the highest rock of them all. It was founded way back in the 14th century and really set the pattern for all the others that came later. And then you have Varlam, the second largest. And check out this stat, because it just blows my mind. Legend has it that it took 2 monks 22 times years just to haul the building materials up to the top. The actual construction after that only took about 20 days. That just puts the sheer scale of the challenge into perspective, doesn't it? The monastery of Rusinu is pretty cool because it takes up the entire surface of its rock pillar, which gives it this really striking, compact look. It's also a bit lower down, so it's one of the easier ones to visit. Today, it's a peaceful convent. And then there's this one, the Holy Trinity Monastery. It might be the most dramatic looking of them all. If you're a James Bond fan, you might even recognize it. It had a starring role in the movie For Your Eyes Only. It just sits there all alone on this absolutely breathtaking pillar. So, when you put all of this together, it's really a no-brainer why UNESCO named Meteora a World Heritage Site back in 1988. It's not just for the crazy landscape or the amazing buildings. It's for the unique way those two things came together, a powerful testament to a way of life that is both inspiring and incredibly fragile. As we start to wrap this up, this image just captures the whole story of Meteora today perfectly. You have the ancient, silent pillars where monks hid from the world, and right at their feet, the modern town of Kalabaka is all lit up. It's a place that's suspended not just in the air, but between the distant past and the right now. And that really leaves us with this final thought. Meteora is so much more than rocks and buildings. It's about where deep geological time and profound human faith crash into each other. It makes you wonder, what is it inside us that drives us to not only look for safety, but to build something truly magnificent in the most impossible places we can find?